Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Hope you are having an amazing day. Ready for new stories I've prepared for you? I have 4. Let's go to the first one, about OP's son, who is demanding OP to remove his ex-girlfriend's pictures from her house because it's upsetting his fiance. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My son Andre was together with his ex-girlfriend Sandra for 11 years. Sandra is a lovely girl, and we became friends independently from her being with my son. I love her very much and think it's a shame that they broke up, but it was unavoidable and the best in the end. Now my son is engaged to Alex. She is a very nice woman. We just don't have that many things in common. We talk, joke around a bit, but it never progressed past the acquaintance stage. I still have contact with Sandra, and we are still relatively close. Of course, she doesn't come by anymore, but whenever she is in town, we meet up for brunch or dinner. Because of all this, her having been in my life for so long, etc., I still have pictures of her in my home. Not of her and Andre, just of her and me. And not that many. And all of them my room and not public places. Yesterday, I was Skyping with my son in my room, and the camera happened to vaguely point at a picture of Sandra and me. My daughter-in-law was in the same room and saw. After the talk, I got some texts from my son saying that it was inappropriate and weird, and I made Alex uncomfortable. He asked me to please remove the pictures. I refused because it is my private room. Now he is calling me an a-hole and telling me I'm trying to sabotage his relationship. I am not. I like Alex. She and my son make a good couple, but Sandra is still in my life. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I don't know why you think I never tried to bond with Alex. They have been together for a hot minute, and we have done stuff. I like Alex. She is a very driven young woman, and I respect her and everything she does. We are just not friends. That is all. I don't dislike her by any means. We are just not close. Meaning, when I see like a funny postcard or anything, I wouldn't go, "Oh, I am going to buy this for Alex." Also, I am not hung up on Sandra's and my son's relationship. It's a shame they had to break up, yes, but it was the best. Both of them are in a better place right now. I still very much like Sandra, but don't wish her to be my daughter-in-law again. Edit 2. I am his mother. No, I don't want to date Sandra. And I don't hate my daughter-in-law. Last edit. Many of you don't believe me that I am not hung up on Sandra. No, I am not, really. Look, I get that it comes off that way, but I am not. Sandra is a really good human being, but around the end of their relationship, they were not happy anymore. Sandra changed her mind regarding marriage and kids. She was unsure if she ever wanted to have kids and didn't want to get married, while my son has always wanted to be a family man. Sandra is also very work-driven and put that in front of everything. She is a great human, but couldn't have been a great significant other forever. They were a nice couple, but didn't fit. Alex, on the other hand, is also a very work-driven human, but more family-oriented, and in my son's words, more emotionally available. Sandra has a good relationship with someone that values work just as much as she does and gives her her independence. So, no, I really don't want them to be together. There are certain things I don't want my son to have to compromise on. The only reason I am so close to Sandra is because she has been in my life for over 14 years, and because we share many hobbies. My daughter-in-law and I are very, very different, and she actually dislikes many of my likes. I love her because she makes my son happy, but we are not friends. And she has also never wanted to be my friend. Final edit. We see each other with Sandra maybe 5 times a year, and we don't text constantly. We like to spend time together, yes, but I never bring it up with my son or daughter-in-law. This is the first time we've had a problem like this. Of course, my son knew I kept in touch with Sandra. I made sure to tell him. But no, Sandra is not like the daughter I wish I had. Yes, I have pictures of all my friends in my room. I have a few strings on my wall, and the pictures are secured with cute wooden clamps. Of the about 25 to 30 pictures, 4 are with Sandra. It's not like photo shooting pictures. I am also on them, and other people. That's it. Sandra is my friend. I don't wish her to be my daughter-in-law. And I don't want to take the pictures down. Not so much because of Sandra, but because of me. I feel like I have made enough accommodations to assure not being insensitive to my son or Alex. There are no pictures anywhere else than that room, and I want to be able to be friends with whomever I want. It's not about Sandra, it's about respect. I would never hang a picture of her in the living room. I would never invite her over to my house. I would never tell stories about our activities when Alex is there. I would never post the picture on Facebook. I would simply like to have pictures of all my friends in my room, be it my friend from the firm or Sandra. I think OP is allowed to have her own relationships and be friends with who she wants. I was ready to say yes to an a-hole because I assumed she'd have the photos around the house, which makes sense if they're friends, and that her daughter-in-law was upset, which makes sense because it could make her feel insecure. However, they are in her private room. She isn't leaving them somewhere where they would typically be in her face. And in this one scenario, they were in frame for her Skype call. She wasn't even a party to that Skype call, so it isn't like she could have anticipated her seeing them. So, thing is, my female 29 husband, male 34, has a rocky relationship with my parents. We've been together for 2 years, and he always thinks that my parents treat him as a second-class citizen and treat his brother-in-law differently, which is not true because we rarely visit and only visit in family events. My sister and her husband live with my parents currently, so any celebrations they have are hosted at my parents' house. My husband thinks this is favoritism. Recently, my sister had her 4th miscarriage. We went to have dinner with my family and visit my sister to see how she was doing. My husband didn't even sit with my parents and was outside smoking till dinner. I thought this was inappropriate, but my parents didn't say anything. While we were at dinner, my husband started asking my sister and brother-in-law whether they were going to go through the trouble of miscarriage and suffer disappointment again. My dad looked at him for a minute. Then, my husband told my sister and brother-in-law that they're past the stage to try for kids and the risk of having kids at this age. My dad flat out told him to knock it off because that was not okay. My brother-in-law left the table. I kept apologizing to him and my sister, but they both went to their bedroom. My dad called my husband out for his behavior and told him he won't be welcome to their house with this attitude. My husband then started arguing with my dad, telling him that they wouldn't even know if we decided to have kids, and that my dad should respect him if he wants a relationship with his only potential grandchildren. My dad suggested that we leave, and I felt so humiliated he didn't even let me talk to my sister. I was crying in the car and told my husband to not say a word because I was so mad at him. After we arrived home at about 10 p.m., I got a call from my dad telling me that the way my husband behaved was unacceptable and that from now on, he will not be included in any family events, nor even welcomed in their house. My husband was furious. He kept saying my parents were looking for an excuse to do this and how unfair they were. Even told me that I shouldn't have agreed and that since he can't go, then I can't go either. I got mad at him for expecting me to side with him and stop going to see my family since he was no longer welcome, and told him it was his fault because he went too far, but he refused to acknowledge this and threw a tantrum about my parents' decision. It's their house, and he was out of line with them. He's refusing to talk to me, saying I should have said something to my parents, but what was I supposed to say? OP is an a-hole for staying with this man. Basically, OP's husband's priority is punishing people he feels have wronged him and making every situation about him, no matter how crappy his timing is. OP should really consider staying with him or leaving. I feel completely lost right now. It all started 6 years ago when my brother passed away, which was his own decision. It had a huge impact on everyone in my family, but especially my dad, because he had gotten into an argument with my brother that morning, and he was the one who found him. It's horrifying, and I hope no one has to go through what we've been through as a family. My brother was my best friend. My family has completely fallen apart because of his death. So my dad, 62 male, and my mom, 60 female, have never had what I would say a normal relationship. My mom has severe bipolar disorder, and although she tries her best, she is often self-centered, impossible to talk to, and a huge spender. To give you an example, my mom will accompany me to Staples to hang out while I print something for school and leave with $2,000 worth of needless merchandise that I have to pack in the car after waiting for her for an hour plus to finish. She is impossible to talk to about anything because she can't listen, and instead goes off on tangents about her own life and sometimes tells stories that have nothing to do with what I'm talking about. It's very hard to talk to her about anything, so I always opt to speak with my dad or siblings instead. My dad has always been my rock growing up and has always been there for me. I can understand why my dad would want to leave my mom because of all these issues. My parents have been married for 40 years. I know their relationship has had many ups and downs, but my brother's death was sort of the breaking point for them, as I hear is common with couples after losing a child. My dad slowly stopped talking to my mom, stopped wanting to be in the same room as her, moved to sleep in a separate room, and was always on his phone. I knew he had grown close to my aunt, so I assumed he was talking to her instead. To take another step back, my aunt is not biologically related to us. She married my mom's adopted brother. Not that being adopted makes any difference, but it does in the sense that her children are not biologically related to me. I'm very close with her children and love them very much. They are all teenagers. My aunt also lost a baby from SIDS 15 years ago when the baby was 3 months old. I feel like my dad and aunt bonded over that shared loss of a child, and that's what brought them together. Before pandemic hit, my dad sat my siblings and I down and told us that he still loved mom, but needed time away from her to work on himself and to heal. He didn't say it explicitly, but he inferred that he was in a really dark place and needed to be alone. We were 100% supportive of this decision and said we only want the best for him and for him to try to find some peace and healing after my brother's death. He has been super depressed these past few years and has changed so much as a person in ways I never imagined. Not cleaning himself, not happy at all, not joking around anymore. Very quiet at family gatherings when he used to be the center of attention. Although we didn't know it at the time, he had already entered into a relationship with my aunt at this point and was lying to us about his motivations for leaving. He moved into a condo closer to my aunt's house too. My mother has had a really difficult time because she still loves my dad and wants to work things out with him. He's not doing her any favors because he's not explicitly telling her it's over. He keeps telling her maybe they can work things out and that he's not sure, etc. To dig a little deeper here, it was revealed to us a month ago that my father had an affair with another woman before when we were children, and my mom admitted that she's not sure if he's had others too, but wouldn't be surprised. She said he's a man of many faults, but that she loves him unconditionally and would try to work things out if he agreed to drop my aunt and go to marital therapy with her. Now, on to my aunt. My aunt either loves you or hates you. It's funny because all of my siblings and I felt the same way about her without openly discussing it together until crap hit the fan. We just don't trust her. My siblings and I worry my aunt is manipulating my dad. He's had other affairs before, as mentioned above, but my aunt is bat crap crazy, and it seems like she has her claws in him. Well, especially deep. I have seen her manipulate other people in our family before to get them on her side in weird ways. I can go into countless examples, but I don't want to write too much here. One example that I find completely crazy was when she told me to lie to my husband about using birth control in order to get pregnant. She said, "That's how I got," insert her second child's name. Nuts! Horrifying. Well, my aunt has been a total a-hole to my mom this entire time, even going back years before we knew they were in a relationship. She sends my mom nasty private messages that I've read and ignores her at family gatherings. Then she tries to make it seem like my mom is lying and she's being perfectly nice to her. The A from my aunt is starting to make my mom symptomatic, which I fear could trigger an episode and put her in a dark place. My mom has been fairly stable these past 20 years, but if she has an episode, she always tries to K herself. It happened all 4 times she's had an episode in the past. I'm afraid both of my parents could commit S over this. It's like my siblings and I have to walk on eggshells all the time, trying to mitigate damage while being there for our parents, on top of dealing with our own PTSD from our brother's death. I'm starting to believe that my aunt is the reason that my dad hates my mom now and has moved out, and that she's also starting to pull him away from his children and grandchildren. Her 18-year-old son got his girlfriend pregnant, then refused to take responsibility for the baby. But my aunt is hosting a baby shower for the ex-girlfriend this September, and she invited all the women in my family to it, including my mom. I told her very politely that I couldn't come and sent an expensive car seat because it seemed like the most practical gift. 6 hours later, she texted my sister asking some random question, and my sister thought it was a good opportunity to mention she couldn't go either. Then my aunt messaged my cousin and asked if she was going, and my cousin also said no because she's out of town that weekend. The next day, I text my dad to tell him I love him, and it seems like a fine conversation. Then he says out of nowhere, "So what's up with you guys and Aunt blank?" He wrote that she called him last night crying, saying that everyone said no thanks to her in a 45-minute window, not what happened, and that she's convinced we're conspiring against her. He said she's sacrificed a lot for us over the years. What? And that she came to family events even when she felt uncomfortable. Why? Because you were having an affair with my dad? And that he felt she was getting a raw deal now because of him. He was very accusatory and dropped the convo when I tried to defend myself and explain that I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just in disbelief, and I fear she's manipulating him even more than I originally thought. Another important factor to note is that my dad has a lot of money. He doesn't flaunt it or spend it, but my dad has millions of dollars to his name. I'm worried she's using him for emotional and financial support, and that she's going to make him see us differently over time, and maybe not want to be a part of our lives, and try to marry him for his money. Even worse, get pregnant. My dad means everything to me. He's come to all my events, supported me through school, talked to me about problems for hours over the phone. He's always been there to help, and he's been nothing but a loving, good parent to me. But then my brother died. This is the most hurtful and scary thing I've ever experienced, and I don't know what to do, or how to make him realize what a huge mistake he's making. If he's unhappy with my mom, fine, move out. Give it some time and find a normal woman. But I fear it's too late. Also, it's important to note that all my siblings and I sat down to talk to him about our concerns when we found out he was with our aunt, and we vocalized how upset we were that 1. Our aunt has been so cruel to our mom. We made him promise they cannot be in the same place together, ever, because of it. 2. How much we worried this would affect our relationship with our cousins, who are already going through so much. And 3. How we feared she would manipulate him and take advantage of him. He knows how we feel about this. Also, I am currently seeing 2 therapists and trying to get some help. I have an amazing husband who is my support person too. Is there anything I can say, do, to help my dad realize what a huge mistake he's making? To help him get his life back on track? I'm feeling so lost. Oh boy, everyone in here needs therapy desperately. In my opinion, OP's dad isn't some innocent victim here, although I totally understand any desire OP has to view him that way. He has made his own choices, and he seems to fall for particular types of women. His infidelity predates the affair with OP's aunt. OP can't make his choices for him, and OP can't control what he does in his life. It's not OP's responsibility to fix this, nor can she. OP needs to take care of herself, continue with her therapy,